So I would just like to start off by extending a warm thank you to the panel, Adam and Nicola, Guelph-Humber faculty, students, and visitors who are spending their time listening to our 12 Days of Coke campaign, an initiative that's brought to you by Next Up PR. So without further ado, let's begin. So this is our agency overview, who we are. So we are an agency based out in Toronto, serving over 150 clients yearly. We are dedicated to campaigns that encourage advocacy for change and uphold the reputation of implementing research beyond the scope to successfully communicate key messages and plans for philanthropy-based initiatives all over the country. We have a core team of 4 highly established PR professionals who are Guelph-Humber alumni and have many years of experience within the public relations sector. So to begin, meet the team. I am Mateo Francis, and I am the CEO and founder of Next Up PR. Next up, we have Sharoz. He is our news and social media consultant. Give a wave, Sharoz. Next up, we have Susie Doe, who is our client engagement specialist. Go ahead, give a wave, Susie. And next up, last but not least, we have our beloved Maya Marcus, who is our event and marketing specialist. I will then pass this over to Maya, who's going to go into a deeper dive of the situation overview and paint the bigger picture for Coca-Cola.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Mateo. So as he said, I'm just going to be painting a picture of the situation overview. So for those of you who may not know, Coca-Cola Bottling Limited is a family-owned bottling company based in Canada. They create, sell, and distribute all Canadian beverages across the nation. And with a brand presence over 120 years, Coca-Cola Bottling is a primary choice for local companies all over the country. Deemed as an essential business by the Canadian government amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the organization has taken all necessary precautions to ensure that while they're open for operation, all clients and employees remain at low risk of coming in contact with COVID-19. Next slide, please. As the pandemic progressed, many small businesses were impacted the most because of the substantial loss in customer traffic and revenue. As the Canadian government evaluated the opening and closures of essential and non-essential services, many small businesses fell under the category of non-essential, requiring them to close their doors. This had a huge impact on the B2B or business-to-business relationships that Coca-Cola Bottling had developed over time, seeing that many small businesses could no longer afford to set B2B relationships as a high priority. This also had a massive impact on the way the organization was able to operate, seeing that they were unable to continue many in-person initiatives, one of them being the holiday caravan drive that my group members will elaborate on shortly. And now I will pass it back to Mateo for a brief SWOT analysis.
Awesome, thank you for that, Maya. So as Maya mentioned here, I'm going to assess the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that Coca-Cola Bottling Limited is facing. So to begin, Coca-Cola Limited, which is the parent company, has a substantial brand identity across the globe and over 120 years of heritage. Coca-Cola Bottling, which is the manufacturing plant, has over 50 facilities, 550 employees, and a local presence in every province. With that, the Coca-Cola Bottling Limited is recognized as Canada's premier local bottler since 1892. And in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Coca-Cola Bottling understood the challenges that small businesses are facing with less consumer traffic than usual, as Maya previously mentioned. They launched the Love Your Local campaign, which is a hashtag that was plastered on their iconic red fleet trucks across the coast. It was a call to action initiative that enabled Canadians all over the coast to support their local businesses and share the hashtag on their personal social media platforms in order for them to further share the initiatives and acts that they've done to support small businesses in their local communities. And in addition to that, the evasive impact that COVID-19 took on mental health, Coca-Cola Bottling donated $20,000 to the CAMH Foundation towards the Mental Health Coping and Resiliency Fund. And for those in the audience that do not know who CAMH is, it's a hospital for it's a hospital center for addiction and mental health based in Toronto. Moving forward with our weaknesses, Coca-Cola Bottling Limited has a low brand identity. Again, this is the manufacturing plant we're now speaking of. They have a low social media presence with their consumers in local markets. And with saying that, many Canadians who are consumers of the product actually aren't aware that Coca-Cola Bottling holds the reputation of being the premier local bottler. As long as consumers can access the product when they want, the manufacturing process isn't generally a concern. And I could say I am a good example of that. As long as I can get my hands on the product, I'm not really concerned about where it comes from, as long as the facilities are clean, of course. And last but not least, the only social media presence that's available is LinkedIn and Facebook. So desired engagement is low with the limitation on these current social channels, which then pivots me to our opportunities that we can then develop and or continue. So we want to implement the tactics that support the well-being of the communities in which Coca-Cola Bottling operates in. So whether it may be through continuous support, as previously mentioned with CAMH, or through general project that will be introduced shortly. I know you guys have had conversations with them, but I'm going to bring that up in a few. We'd like to leverage the use of the hashtag Love Your Local campaign also. So by having them featured on the iconic red fleet trucks, which are used in our 12 Days of Coke campaign also, we thought it would be best to feature a large QR code, seeing that we are now living in a digital age, to scan on the QR codes, which would then bring commuters or people in the general public directly to the website, where it shows all of our developed social channels that we at Next Step are going to develop for you guys. And as well as it explains the existence and the need for the Love Your Local campaign and what you can do to support it, as well as bring everybody to the existence and recognition of what 12 Days of Coke is. In addition to that, with the Love Your Local campaign, we would also like to utilize the employees in the bottling manufacturing plants who would have the option of sending a 6-pack of Coca-Cola to a neighbor or a friend who they've always had the intentions of getting in touch with, but haven't had the opportunity due to COVID-19. So with that, this would work in conjunction with Genwell, which is an organization that pitches the importance of human connection. And again, I will explain that later on in the presentation. And lastly, we would like to foster optimism as an opportunity within the communities they're serving to establish the need for Coca-Cola bottling beyond this campaign. So it will maintain relationships with stakeholders and pivot the way for new ones in the futures as an initiative to determine what Coke stands for during a time of despair and in the future when things are back to hopefully normal. And last but not least, I am moving on to our threats. Coca-Cola Bottling Limited dominates the Canadian market, and it leads them to having a low level of threats. Again, they do hold the reputation of being Canada's premier local bottler. However, we should pay attention to one of our biggest competitions, which is PepsiCo Beverages Canada. They own 15 manufacturing plants across Canada, and they account for 88% of the volume sold within Canada. So it's only important that we familiarize ourselves with their existence. And again, to mention that they are our direct competition. So by Coca-Cola upholding the status of being the premier local bottler, we must maintain that reputation by the opportunities I presented, as well as opportunities for advancement. Otherwise, PepsiCo may have the advantage to bargain and offer new COVID-19 response initiatives that can possibly take away some of the relationships we uphold with our B2B relationships, as well as take any ideas that we aim to offer throughout the campaign and make it more appealing to other businesses and essentially taking them away from us. Here, I'm going to be passing this over to Susie, who is going to take a deep dive into our PR strategy, recommendations, and tactics. Take it away, Susie. Oh, mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Mateo. So I'll be speaking about PR strategy. So in order to further spread optimism during the 2021 holiday season and raise the brand's overall awareness within their local bottling communities, we have developed a 12 Days of Coke campaign that we believe will be effective in satisfying the company's goals and objectives. Next slide, please. So 12 Days of Coke will be a six-week-long campaign that allows local business owners in our bottling cities to gain some financial relief and resources that will aid them during the pandemic. We recognize that the pandemic years has been a dark time for individuals and has impacted many areas of our lives in different ways, especially our local businesses. Coca-Cola Bottling thrives on its B2B market model, and they can only thrive when businesses they service in are doing well. So this is why it's important for Coca Canada Bottling to show their local communities that they operate in, that they support local business. In addition to this, being able to use this narrative as part of our business advantage grants many opportunities to build lasting relationships with our stakeholders and potential future stakeholders. Next slide, please. So our campaign strategies heavily focus on digital marketing and online social media engagement to achieve our goal of delivering optimism during the 2021 holiday season. With our 12 Days of Coke campaign, local business owners in our bottling cities will have the opportunity to submit their stories via social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, or via Coke Canada Bottling's website about how and why they need help during this pandemic. Once the election period concludes, 12 winners will be selected and they will be awarded prizes. The top two will earn $5,000 each then the 3rd and 4th place winners will earn $2,500 each, while the 5th to 12th place winners will be allowed to compose a list of items they need that can equal up to $1,000. The holiday caravan will travel nationwide to these cities, delivering the prizes to the winners, which will all be filmed and documented for our 12 Days of Coke video series. This series will be featured on Coke Canada Bottling's YouTube, which will look great, and social media channels, being posted during the 12 days leading up to Christmas Day. Each video will also highlight a local worker who will speak to the honor of working at Coca-Cola Canada Bottling and what the brand means to them. This campaign will aid in delivering optimism during the holiday season and assist in not only driving more traffic to Coke Canada's website, but also help to boost engagement with their social media profiles, thus raising the overall brand awareness of Coke Canada Bottling. Next slide. No, next slide. So now I'll be passing it on to Shiroz, who will speak to our objectives.
Thank you, Susie. So Coca-Cola Bottling is a company that serves Canadians everywhere, so it's important that we gain maximum nationwide coverage for executing their 2021 holiday caravan campaign. The Globe and Mail and CBC are dominant news outlets in the Canadian media segment, so we believe that they are the best outlets to pitch the campaign through published articles and covered news stories. The stories will cover the initiative we aim to execute on Coca-Cola Bottling's behalf and aim to spread the word to local businesses who will benefit from the launched initiative. The stories must reach a total impressions of 1 million within a week of the article being published. With the large following of each outlet, Nexa PR believes that the impressions will be met within the week, especially surrounding the relevance it has towards the community and the holiday season. The articles will highlight our 12 Days of Coke initiative and the joint partnership with the General Project in efforts to spread an optimistic ending to the 2021 year and the holiday season. Vice Canada is also another national news outlet that we would like to publish an article in. They have an edgy and young demographic, which will be perfect as we want to grow Coca-Cola Bottling's social media presence. The best way to do that is by appealing to a younger demographic and getting a story in front of them. If the initiative resonates with them or their followers on various social channels, they're likely to share the story, garnering more community engagement with the campaign. A story in Vice Canada is also likely to hit 1 million impressions within a week of being published. We will know these articles are successful if our social media following has increased by 50% within a week of the articles going live, enabling us to further share our campaign on Coca-Cola Bottling's new Instagram page. The winners from this campaign will be chosen from 5 communities across the nation where Coca-Cola Bottling operates. It's important that we get local news coverage in those areas for maximum exposure in each respective community. So major outlets in those respective communities would be CTV News Calgary, City News Montreal, Global News BC, The Telegram, Newfoundland, and CP24 for Brampton. Those are the most popular news outlets in each of Coke's Bottling's community. Local stories will go live when we are in the relevant area, delivering the prizes to local businesses. The stories need to reach 5,000 views the same day they're published. This can be a mix of live viewership as well as online views. Our web series will play a key role in getting the word out about Coca-Cola Bottling's initiatives and the utilization of resources to foster optimism in the 2021 holiday season. It would also help appeal to a younger audience, which will result in an increase in social media following. Each episode needs to reach 10,000 views, 5,000 likes, and 250 comments within a day of the episode being posted to be deemed as a successful tactic. In addition, all of our social channels need to reach a collective 10,000 followers by the end of the campaign, which is December 24th. Coca-Cola Limited has a following of 25K Instagram followers who potentially will be prompted to follow the bottling plan also. And I'm going to pass it off to Maya to discuss our tactics.
Thank you, Shiroz. So moving on to our primary tactic. Next slide, please. The primary tactic in this campaign is to utilize social media, as previously mentioned, to reach our audiences. This will truly be the bread and butter of the campaign, as we at Next Up PR believe that building a social media presence for the company is completely essential. Having a solid social media presence will help connect those in our communities with the brand more significantly. The company's outreach is currently limited to LinkedIn and Facebook, as Mateo mentioned previously, so we would like to tap into a broader market they have yet to access. Exploring this untapped market will allow efficient engagement with existing stakeholders and allow the organization to develop new connections. Establishing a strong social media presence will help us do this, and we believe that its benefits will extend far past the campaign period itself. Back to Shiroz.
So our next course of action will be the use of visuals. Seeing that everything has switched over to virtual platforms, we want to document the contest in a way that can be accessed and shared digitally. We believe that the winner's backstory and cash prize reveal videos, in addition to the red fleet truck, will be significant visual components that will act as newsworthy content that can be shared locally. It's videos are constantly being shared online, whether it be TikTok videos or Facebook clips. It's proven that people connect with visual components, especially if they're intriguing. Having the campaign be driven on social media where people can earn free exposure to their businesses from shared clips can create a viral effect of driving more consumer traffic to support, especially if it's a business Instagram users didn't know existed in their communities. In addition to this, making the 12 Days of Coke series live on our website, YouTube, and social media channels will create tangible, feel-good content that people can connect with and want to connect with. That way, when people think of Coke Canada, they can also resonate it with the feeling of optimism and support of local businesses and well-being of their communities. I'll pass it off to Susie for the third tactic. Unmute.
Sorry, for our third tactic, we suggest partnering with Brandon Gonez to be the host of this video series that we're talking about. Brandon is someone who is a client we've worked with in the past, and we have a really good established relationship with him. We believe having Brandon Gonez, who's a former CP24 host and now the host of his own show, The Brandon Gonez Show, as the host of the video series will be a great match, as Brandon has a strong media presence and a connection with his fans. With over 70.2K followers on Instagram and 20.5K subscribers on YouTube, Brandon has an established relationship with his fans that offers high engagement. He also has been able to cultivate a fun, loving, and trusted brand image that aligns with the principles and morals of Coke Canada Bottling. Another important thing we believe is he's a local resident and one of the premier bottling communities that Coke Canada operates in. And he's a business owner himself, so he can really relate to the ideals and the great meeting of this campaign. Having Brandon host the series will not only prove to be successful with our younger target audiences, but he also will be able to bring Coke Canada's initiative to the eyes of his established fan base, raising the overall brand awareness to those who are unaware of Coke Canada bottlings already. Next slide, please. And I'll be passing on to Maya, who will be speaking about earned media.
So in addition to having, thank you, Susie. In addition to having Brandon as a spokesperson for this campaign, the heartfelt nature of this project will essentially work for itself in terms of earned media. One of the most effective methods of gaining earned media is to have an impact on an individual or their surrounding community. By documenting these heartwarming moments and releasing them publicly, we are giving news outlets an optimistic story alongside visual content that will already be at their disposal. The media earned from this campaign will also paint Coca-Cola Bottling in a good light and allow the organization to gain trust from small businesses all over the country. As the pandemic continues to take a toll on businesses that lack resources, Coca-Cola Bottling will be advertised as the #1 trusted partner for companies in their time of need. And now I'll be passing it off to Mateo to present an exciting partnership idea.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Maya. So the moment at last, Genwell. As mentioned before, I know you guys mentioned you've had conversations with Genwell, but we found a way that we think Genwell would definitely be inclusive in your organization, especially with what Coca-Cola stands for. So launched in 2016, the Genwell Project is a global movement that aims in connecting today and tomorrow. The organization serves to remind people of the importance of face-to-face connections and how we can maintain relationships that are most important to us. They share information, research, and motivation on their social channels, inspiring others to build healthy connection habits and maintain them, especially during the most difficult period of disconnection, which we all experienced in the last year, known as COVID-19. So a little bit of a story time with the founder, Pete Bombacci of Genwell. He was supposed to be here today, but I think he missed the time window, but it's okay. We had an amazing conversation with what this initiative means to him and what drove him to start Genwell in the first place. So dating back to August of 2003, I and many other students in the audience were around the ages of 4 to 5, and we experienced the Northeast blackout. So I remember that being a time where there was absolutely no electricity, no technology, and it was a mere time of connection with my parents and my siblings, as we had nothing else until we had power again. So similarly, Pete was invited to a friend's barbecue and they had to use meats to prevent them from going bad since there was no electricity, and otherwise they would have went to waste. And as he went around the front of his friend's house, he noticed that everyone on the streets were conversing as if they've known each other for a very long time. He then, confidently walked up to a group and asked them, he said, "Hey, do you guys know each other, or you guys are conversing like you guys know each other for a long time?" And their response was no. And through that, that was the birth of Genwell and his recognition for the need of human connection, especially in times when we have nothing else distracting us from that kind of outreach. The blackout forced people to connect and lean on each other because that's all we had in a moment of nothing. And similarly with COVID-19, it inherently isolated all of us to curb the spread. We all had to stay home, which robbed many of us of the normal routines and the daily lives that we're all used to living, which essentially is sometimes full of distractions. With having a lucrative tools like technology, we must put them to our best advantage. So making that one phone call that you've always been meaning to make, set up Google Meetings, set up Google Zooms, and plan socially distanced activities. It's just a way for us to build up that first initiative and outreach of confidence. And many of us are shy to do so in the first place. And with General serving as a catalyst, that means a reason for people to reach out. I feel like it's going to be a best pay it forward tribute, as many people would then have a reason to actually reach out as opposed to just reaching out spontaneously. And sometimes it feels kind of weird if you reach out to somebody after a long time and it's like, why are you reaching out to me kind of thing. So General is just a perfect way and opportunity to serve as a reason that also educates people on the need for human connection. And with partnering with Coca-Cola, who shares and cares for their communities, many would pay it forward to break that chain of disconnection, inspiring others to make that first outreach also. And yeah. Next, I'm going to be passing it over to Susie, who's going to take a dive into our issues management chart. And Susie, you can take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Mateo. So some of the three core audiences we identify are your employees, investors, and customers. So employees, the kind of expected reaction they may be having during this time is they may be feeling really disconnected from their families during the COVID times. I mean, we're lucky that Coca-Cola Bottling is still considered an essential business, but that means our employees are really working every day hard on the front lines, but they're still dealing with the remnants of this pandemic that everyone else is feeling. So some questions that we think they may ask is, how is this campaign related to employees, and how is the company working to support the mental health of our workers? And so we'll make sure that we're making sure that they understand that we are showcasing and highlighting the employees, because we believe our employees are our best ambassadors. They're what keeps our company running, and we need to show that they're valued and highlighted, especially for working during this difficult time. And we've also partnered with Genma, like Mateo just mentioned, to help support the mental wellness of our employees and to help to combat disconnectedness. So we believe our investors may be really concerned about how the company has been financially impacted by the pandemic, like so many people have been. And they might be wondering, what is the ROI on this campaign for the company? Now, I think it's important for us to make sure we're letting the investors know that we're luckily, since Coca-Cola bottling is considered an essential service, your factories were still being able to be working during the pandemic. But we also think it's important for them to understand that by building a strong connection with our local communities we operate in is an essential part of business, because it not only helps to expand the brand overall, but it also helps to bring a positive press to the company that can live beyond the realm of this campaign. The benefits and the connections that we develop from this campaign is something that is not just going to last in the 12 days of Coke. We can build on it afterwards. And our customers just may be curious as to why we're running this campaign and how the campaign will work. And we'll make sure we're reiterating to them that we want to support those in the communities that we work in, because they support us and they're the reason why we are able to function. And the campaign will have a 2-week nomination period where local community members are able to submit their stories as to why they need some financial relief during these pandemic times. And I'll be passing it back to Mateo, who will be speaking social media.
Awesome, thank you for that, Susie. So again, as she mentioned, I'm going to be going over the social media mockups. Alrighty, so here we have two examples. So here we have two examples that Next Up aims to post with the launch of the newly developed social media platforms, mainly being Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Snapchat. On Twitter, Coca-Cola Canada has 21.6K followers, and on Instagram, 25K followers. By announcing the launch of Coca-Cola Bottling Canada, the page and initiative, traffic will drive to the page with the ideal market being reached, as we are based out in Canada, and we want to ensure that small businesses that are being impacted are from a Canadian market. To the right, it features an infographic that will also be shared on all digital billboards across the coast. And in order for it to build inclination and some consumer engagement, we pose the question, are you ready for 12 days of Coke? As people would be more inclined to really figure out what does 12 days of Coke mean, and surrounding it with a holiday theme, they would feel like it plays onto the 12 days of Christmas for them to want to find out more. And this will also be posted in all facilities to ensure that ambassadors, which are Coca-Cola employees, are also aware of the 12 days of Coke and what we stand for, and keeping them engaged in all of our initiatives also. Here I'll be passing it back to Susie, who is going to be taking the dive into our spokesperson. Yeah.
Sorry, next slide. I'm on mute all the time. Okay, so two of our media spokespeople we believe will be perfect fits is the first one is Todd Parsons, the CEO and president of the company. So we believe that using the CEO/president will prove to be a good asset as they act as the company's face and will allow the community to start to humanize such a large brand. Like Coca-Cola Bottling is lucky because everybody knows Coke. You can go anywhere in the world, ask for Coke, and you can get it. But not everybody knows Coca-Cola Bottling. And so that's why we believe by starting this campaign will not only help bring about the overall awareness of the Coca-Cola bottling in the local communities they operate in, by having the face of the company, people will have a real connection and start to humanize the brand and have the connection with the brand. And that's also why we believe the second most important media spokesperson we need in this campaign is our employees. You know, as you may have heard us mention throughout this campaign, our employees are best ambassadors. You know, they're there every day. They're on the front lines every day. They're the people who get to go home and talk about how work was and what the company does. So we believe that by highlighting an employee in each of the 12 cities and using them as a local media spokesperson, it will prove to be equally successful and effective as it builds on strengthening the community's connection with the company. And, you know, having a local person speak to the importance of the brand and what it means to them is essential because they can authentically speak about their experience and just speak really towards the overall importance of Coca-Cola bottling in these communities. So I'll now be passing it to Rose, who'll be going over our timeline.
So our campaign will last for 6 weeks in total, from October 20th to December 24th. The contest will be announced on October 20th, and we'll start allowing submissions on that day as well. Within the first week of our announcement, stories in the Globe and Mail, CBC, and Vice will go live to help spread the word and encourage submissions. We will be looking at submissions on a rolling basis as they come in from October 20th to November 20th. We will be taking submissions for a month, but the last day to submit will be November 20th. Once the winners have been decided, we will start traveling to communities to give the winners their prizes. Cash prizes and gift baskets will be dropped off at the selected local businesses from November 28th to December 12th. During our visits to the local businesses, we will have a film crew on the road documenting everything for the web series. Every day we finish handing off prizes, the footage will be sent back to be edited so we have the episodes ready in time. The web series will launch on December 13th. This is where the term 12 Days of Coke will come into play, as we will be releasing episodes over the period of 12 days with our last episode coming out on December 24th. I'm going to pass it back to Susie to discuss our budget.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So as you may have seen in our PR plan already that we have submitted, we broke down exactly how we're going to be using the $70,000 we have allocated for this campaign. About $7,300 of it will be going to PR fees. So this will go to overall management of the campaign, our media relations, media monitoring, social media management, our weekly status meetings with you and internal meetings as well. And the rest of the budget will be going towards transportation and van maintenance of the holiday caravan, filming and editing, press release and media list, our partnership with Brandon Gonez, and prize and gifts. So the most expensive thing in this, or the majority of this budget, the $23,000, will be going to the prize gift that we're giving back to local communities, which we believe is really important and essential to help and support the communities. And then $20,000 of our budget will be going to the filming and editing. So they're traveling with us through the 12 days. They'll be filming it and they'll be editing it in time so we can post it within the 12 days. And about $1,100 of the budget will be going to Brandon Gonez, who will also be traveling with us to each of the cities within the period of time, surprising and hosting the series. And he also will be posting it on his socials as well as the campaign continues. So now finally, I'll be passing it to Maya, who will be speaking on the evaluation.
Thank you, Susie. So as Susie mentioned, I'm just going to be discussing the evaluation. This is how we are going to be measuring our objectives. We will be making use of KPIs and realistic timelines to keep track of our goals and how far along we are in terms of achieving them. Figures from social media, which is followers, comments, etc., will be measured using Meltwater and will help determine the engagement we receive from new and existing audiences over the course of the campaign. And for those of you who don't know, Meltwater is a media monitoring tool. It's well proven and very, very, very works very well. We'll also make use of Meltwater's news monitoring tool in order to measure how many of our news story goals we were able to achieve in a certain amount of time. For example, one of our major objectives is to generate earned media from Canada's largest news networks, CTV and Global News, etc., and obtain a reach of at least 5,000 hits on the story's first day of publication. This is what Shrose mentioned earlier. By using a media monitoring tool, we will be able to observe how many stories we were able to cultivate through this campaign and measure the effectiveness of our objectives.
Wonderful. Amazing, Maya. So in conclusion, we believe Next Up PR is the best agency to drive Coca-Cola Bottling Limited's 2021 Holiday Caravan campaign, seeing that our organization's purpose heavily focuses on building communities and making a difference for patrons within those communities. Similarly, Coca-Cola Bottling Limited has a primary goal of maintaining local business-to-business relationships within the communities they operate, along with maintaining internal relations with the staff who make, distribute, merchandise, and sell their beverages. Our agency understands the importance of building a healthy rapport with client bases of all sizes, and we understand how the performance of Coca-Cola Bottling's initiatives are perceived to be received by the public, ensuring that Coca-Cola Bottling will be next up for all consumer needs and local business-to-business relationships. You can find us at www.nextuppr.com, and our email is hello@nextuppr.com, and our agency phone number is 416-436-1800. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys. Really great presentation, so much detail, lots of creativity in the slides itself. You know, the visuals really made an impact, I think. I won't speak for Adam, but it really, you know, really makes the presentation pop, and you guys did a really, really great job, I think, on that aspect. Very professionally delivered. Okay, a couple of questions I have, and then Adam might have one as well. So one of the things that came to mind when we were reading your plan and when you presented today is that, of course, a lot of this campaign is based in social media, and you're relying a lot on social media engagement to drive awareness and brand awareness and awareness of the program itself. So we don't have YouTube and we don't have Instagram. So, but obviously those are built into this plan heavily. So do you have a plan in advance that sort of would get our company up to speed on those platforms to drive engagement first? Or are we hoping that this plan itself will start from like 0 followers and we'll be hoping to have enough engagement through the campaign itself?
I can take that question. Yes, one thing we really, one good part about Next Up is we work really well with social media marketing. So we're very experienced in this, and we know kind of how to build up people's platforms to get it going. So no, we will be establishing all your platforms before we kick off the campaign. We have tactics to try to build up like engagement already. And a big part of it as well, we believe the campaign is such a good story, right? Everyone's worrying about these are dark times, so stories about optimism are really easy to get passed on, and we believe that having viral moments like these and these good stories and encouraging people to have to post and tag Coke Canada Bottling, which is a big part of the nomination period, will also help us get more followers on our social media campaign, because they have to follow, people have to click the videos to go to it, people have to visit these sites to actually see the people winning. So we believe that's a big part on building the campaign. But to answer your question, yes, we're planning to launch it before the actual campaign.
Okay. Could you guys talk a little bit more about Genwell? It sounds like you did a lot of really great research with them, which is really great. I'm really impressed with that, and that you spoke to Pete. I feel like I need a little bit more understanding about exactly how they're being integrated into the campaign. I don't know that I really fully understand that element.
No worries, I'll take that. So again, yeah, speaking with Pete, it was very informative as to what the organization stands for and the initiative. As to what it drives. So earlier in opportunities, I find that with our employees in the manufacturer being our best ambassadors, if they were given the opportunity to say take home 2 dozen or 2 6-packs of Coke, they then have the option to either leave it on a neighbor's doorstep. So through our discussion, it was statistically proven that 50% of people who live in communities do not know their neighbors' names. I am guilty of that too. So I feel like with Genwell, it serves as a catalyst, and with catalyst, that means a reason. So that would be a reason for me to make that outreach and for me to make that step. So for example, if I was a Coca-Cola employee and I received free product, that would then be signed in conjunction with Genwell, just saying, hey neighbor, I live at number 9, so and so and so. I know we haven't had a chance to see each other in a while. Hope all is well. Let's connect over a Coke. And with that, that's how we're able to set up a Zoom meeting, a Google call. And I feel like that will be really informative or inspiring. And the next time when people are going to grocery stores, they'll say, hey, Mateo works at Coca-Cola. You know what? I'm going to support that business because I now know that they're Canada's premier local bottler. He works very hard at that establishment. I would then support it moving forward. And hopefully that would then, again, as I mentioned earlier, be like a pay it forward tribute where, where, you know, people who are receiving those 6-pack gifts would then want to, again, pay it forward and do that for somebody else because of how that made them feel when they received it. That shows that I care, and that shows that I just really wanted to connect with them initially and build on to that importance of human connection, which is what the organization stands for.
And in addition to that, General will also be providing like resources about how to stay connected during a pandemic, or just and tips on how to kind of combat disconnectedness that we'll be sharing with not only our employees, but also the people, the businesses that enter our competition, because we believe that's helpful, especially during times like this. Taught us more than ever that connectedness is of a big importance.
And just to add to that, Genwell also has a pretty strong social media following, and they have a really good, they're really good on their social media channels. So having this campaign tied to Genwell, which is already a big name, whereas Coca-Cola Bottling isn't such a huge name on social media, it can really boost the followers and get this campaign out there and get Coca-Cola Bottling's name out there as well.
And that reminds me of why we believe our partnership with Brandon Gonez is so important, because he has already established social media presence, but not just that, he has a great engagement with his following. You know, they watch him, they like to hear what he says. That's from him using to be a CP24 news reporter. So people really look to him to speak. So with him also sharing this campaign and being part of the campaign, that we also hope will drive more engagement to your social media platforms and help to build that up as well.
Which is why we believe Genwell is the perfect perfect company to work with, because this whole campaign is about community, it's about communication, it's about engagement and bringing people together. So we would want it with, instead of taking all like the budget and just donating to any type of charity and calling it a day, we want this to be a lasting campaign. We want this to be something that can be preserved and preserve the name of Coca-Cola Bottling as well.
And to just close that off, oh, sorry, Nicola.
No, it's okay.
And sorry, just to close that off, once we receive those kind of resources, or once we're actually providing people with those resources that Genwell is providing, once people know better and have that kind of information, they're going to want to do better. So that's just a closing as to why Genwell is the perfect fit for that.
Great. Thank you for that detailed response. Okay, my next question is, can you clarify what cities are being visited?
So the cities that are being visited are, let's see, have them here. So I know that we are going across 5 different regions. And team, does anyone want to jump in while I pull that up? Let's see.
Well, we're starting off on our main one, which is Brampton.
Yeah.
And we're going across to one, I believe, in Newfoundland.
Calgary.
Calgary.
Yeah,
Montreal.
and then what's the fourth?
And then BC.
Yes.
So when we talk about the 12 days, I thought I saw in the presentation that there were 12 cities, but maybe that's a misunderstanding. Is the 12 days related to the timing of the campaign, or the cities?
Yeah, the 12 days would be related to the timing of the campaign. It runs over 6 weeks, but when we're releasing our episodes, they would be within the time span of 12 days. So December 24th, tracking back those 12 days.
Okay, understood. Okay.
Yeah.
So just to confirm, we're visiting 5 cities, not 12.
Yes, 5 cities.
Awesome.
Okay, so that was, I think, a miscommunication on my part. Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
Our apologies on that one.
No, it's okay. Okay, do we have a time for a few more questions, Heath? Are we doing okay? I don't even know what time we're supposed to wrap anymore. Okay.
Okay.
Feel like I have no idea anymore. Okay, in terms of the budget that you guys went through, which is great and lots of detail, can you just confirm with that too? And again, this might be a misunderstanding. Is everybody who's traveling to these 5 cities traveling by van for $8,000? Is that?
No, the van, the budget, the 8,000 is going towards the van and the maintenance of the van. The people who are traveling, or that budget, that part of their budget is for the film crew, that is worked into the film crew budget with the filming and the editing, as well as for Brandon traveling and his team, that's worked into his budget. And then our team who'll be traveling, that's worked into our already part of our just payment that we have with you. So yeah, that's part of it. No, everyone will not be traveling by van.
Okay, so transportation is just like for getting around in the cities. That
Yeah, for the
transportation van.
actual van itself and the maintenance of it.
Filming and editing, $20,000 is for the actual work of the filming and editing. But in addition, you're saying their travel to all 5 cities is included in that cost.
Yes, it's their whole team.
Okay.
Because they'll be outsourcing it to the film company.
Right. So that's for them to put together all 5, like all the videos in each of the markets, plus their travel, plus their hotels, plus their food costs, plus everything. Okay. And then Brandon Gomez says that's his fee that he's taking home to do this, but also built into that is any and all travel costs for him to go to all 5 locations as well, including his hotel, including his food, including everything that goes into traveling.
Yes. And we can work with the budget to expand some more. There's flexibility within the budget.
Yeah.
After, we can go through it with you if you choose us, and we can expand the budget to work more. But yes, that's just a rough estimate.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's great. Okay, one more for me, and then I think Adam has a good question to bring up too. Do you think, or did your team ever discuss any negative ramifications or negative feedback that there might be for us, like from a reputational point of view, that we are offering financial assistance only to some small businesses, and that it's sort of too little too late coming like at the end of 2021, at the end of a COVID pandemic?
I could take that. Oh, Maya, would you like to start off?
I was just going to say, seeing that the Canadian government is already providing a lot of relief for small businesses, Coca-Cola Bottling doing this campaign would just be kind of a top up on top of that. So they already have access to all of those services through the government, and that information can be provided on the Coca-Cola Bottling Contest website. And in addition, this campaign and this contest will be an opportunity for small businesses to get a little bit more help if they need it. Sorry, Mateo, you can go ahead.
Like you covered that really well, but just to add on to that, yes, it was a discussion as to why we would be favoring certain businesses as opposed to the other, which is why, again, tying back to General, we also want this to be not just so much about the financial relief of things, but also the resources that we're offering and the enlightenment with the optimistic view and value of what Coca-Cola Bottling stands for. So with saying that, that's why providing resources and partnering with the charitable aspect is also good, despite financial relief just being the sole purpose of the campaign.
I also think an important thing is Coca-Cola Bottling already has a Love Your Local initiative worked into your company. So helping local businesses is not something that is new to your brand already. And I think people be like receptive because you've already kind of established how you value local businesses. So I believe that this is just adding on to it, because of course it's like we want to help you even more. And our messaging of our campaign that we were putting out through our press releases, through our social media messaging, will be that we are doing this because we're doing this because we want to help local businesses. We have a connection. We care about the communities that we are operating in. And so I believe that we can get that message across effectively and in a positive manner to the public, and it'll be receptive in that way as well.
Great. Adam, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm just looking for a little bit of clarification. I know we glossed over it a little bit in terms of the QR codes. What was the idea between with sharing those and making sure we get engagement in terms of people actually scanning them?
So anywhere you go nowadays, personally, with like restaurants and stuff, in order to check in, you have to scan a QR code, fill out the COVID-19 questionnaire and stuff like that. So I feel like with living in a digital age right now, where we often have patrons and commuters on the road, and we all have our mobile smartphones with us, by having a QR code directly on the transportation truck, it's just, and at a good size for dimensions, it would be a good source of engagement, because people are going to say, oh, I wonder what that QR code is going to take me to. because a QR code is easily recognizable in many other establishments that we are now going back into with the whole reopening of Ontario. So with saying that, I feel like it would drive people directly to the website where they can then see what the Love Your Local campaign means. They could see local businesses that they can support, how they can support them. And on top of that, it would then bring them to little hyperlinks of our social media platforms that Next Up PR is aiming to launch for your organization.
Okay, so I guess just a follow-up is that, I mean, safety first is one of our values, and that's obviously something we consider in particular during COVID. So the idea then is to have people snipe them sort of as the truck's going by on their phone and they're driving?
Yeah, not as they're driving, but that was a thought as well. So if passengers are in the vehicle, we would again play on to that safety. We would primarily want passengers to be the one scanning the QR code. I definitely wouldn't be the one scanning it, but there can also be a website provided underneath for them to remember and access it at home later on.